What's going on, Produce community? This is No One Really, and I'm back with another one. Today we're going to be taking a look at SnythMaster Player from KV331 Audio and show you all how I use it in my latest production, Extraterrestrial Savage. This is jam-packed with a ton of presets, and I just want to go over a couple that I used and let you guys get a feel for, what it's like to use this, if you're just jumping in and you never tried it before. So let's get into a few of these presets. I only use this VST for all the leads, bass, pad type sounds, everything like that. The only thing that's not coming from SnythMaster is the drums. So let's get into it, and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so the first song we're going to look at is something called the Chord Minor 7. It's from the synth category. As you can see right here, we have a ton of categories. So you have arpeggiated sounds, bass sounds, bells, brass, chords, drums, effects, flute type of sounds, guitar sounds, and so forth. And so right here, you can pretty much select your category, and then you can select even the musical style. So they pretty much cover a lot of genres, and then depending on what you pick, you end up getting sound selections based off of it. So you can just click through, and then they have like a ton of sounds that you can look for. And so the particular sound I was looking for actually fell into the electro category, and that's pretty much what we ended up selecting. Now the player, if you're like a super deep in-depth sound designer, isn't necessarily for you. This is really preset driven, so everything about it is all presets. You can't really, the sound design is limited, so you can adjust very minute things, like you hear that the tune is coming out a little bit. So you can kind of craft and shape and sculpture sound, but it's not going to let you get like super duper in detail. But this right here, the X pad, definitely is pretty dope. Like, so if you have like an XY controller, or some other type of controller that'll let you control this, then this is pretty nice. So let's just give you a quick look right there. So this particular groove was put together using it, and as you can see, it's pretty much already chorded out. It's based off of a minor 7 type of a vibe, and so that's pretty much it. Out of like a few, I'll just go through and so you see, like, without that chord, drop some 4 to floor right there. But yeah, so I pretty much went with this because it kind of sound kind of spaced out, and that kind of became the driving force behind everything I was doing. So with that, let's get into the next sound. Alright, so the next sound we're going to take a look at has to be like one of the coolest things that stood out to me when I was going through a couple of these presets, when I was looking to try to match up sounds or whatnot, and I was getting into like developing some outer spacey type of sounding type of vibe. I stumbled across a preset that said X-Files, and that was a popular like 90s show where you have two like FBI agents, and they go like on these crazy detective like CSI style missions to investigate the truth always being out there. And so when I started playing around, I definitely felt inspired by the X-Files theme, hearing this sound. And that's a really dope thing about this particular VST, is that if you're familiar with like a lot of different genres of music, you're gonna find something that reminds you of someone somewhere, some hit record. And so like the cool thing is that it's got like over 1700 presets, and like I was showing you in the last section, this is absolutely massive. Like, that's crazy. And I mean, you could just spend days going through all the available presets. And so, you know, that's pretty much this sound. There really wasn't a lot of tweaking. Like I said, here you have some very basic controls. You can filter in your effects. Over here, you have different effects you can add per layer. But there's one caveat. Essentially, the presets load up with an effect already on it, and you can turn them on or off. You can't really edit the effect, so it's just either on or it's off. The amount that it's on or off is already predetermined. So depending on your feeling about it, uh, you may or may not like it. Like, you can't blend it in. It's just there, so you either like it or you don't. And so, with that, we will move on. All right. So next, I'd like to take a look at the bass, and this was pretty interesting because when I was playing around and trying to find the bass, I was just clicking through and twisting knobs, when you're trying to explore and like you do, and I stumbled across the Smoothie Moogie one, and so by itself it sounded pretty interesting and cool. But then I wanted to see, could I bring in some like expressive element, and what I ended up stumbling across was the XY controller, and basically I started like dragging my mouse, and then I started getting this pretty dope motion. So what I ended up having to do, because I don't have XY controller, you can browse the parameters, and then you can link your your X and Y parameter to something. So if you have like some type of controller where you have a knob. In my case, the Control 49 by M Audio has 8 knobs, and so I was able to set one knob to X and another knob to Y, and then it took a little finagling, but I was able to, get this type of motion, and I recorded it in, and that's how I got that kind of like wow, wow, wobbly type of effect. And so one thing though is that they probably could have had something very similar, because right here, just under basses alone, and again, you have like acid, ambient, baroque, several different bass genres that you could look for in different styles. And so with that, you know, you have, if you don't want to go through, I guess I'm just showing you this, if you don't want to go through the process of like animating your own, parameters or controls, then, have at it. Like, there's enough to explore here that you can definitely like find something that'll fit your track and style and mood. Or if you're familiar with any of the producers listed here, you could be like, okay, I want something in the style of Big Tone Studios, or Frank Neumann, or anybody like that. If that's your approach, then I encourage you to go ahead and do that. And so I guess what I want to show here is just this. So right here it shows you what you've purchased, and also gives you a look at things you can buy as well. So what's pretty cool, and right from the page you can actually upgrade, and all I did was click show all, and then this will let you go in and even add libraries, and it tells you how much it costs. And so like you don't have to spend all the big bucks right away. So, with that, just want to give you a nice little overview of this set, and then we'll get into the next sound. All right, so let's do it. Alright, so next up is the Hard Rocker preset. Now this stood out because it definitely fit the space out vibe. I was kind of imagining like this alien or even like a pilot traveling through space and just going ham blasting asteroids and enemy ships out the sky. And so I was just imagining like what that might be like. And so when I was coming up with this little melody, I was just imagining that type of vibe. And then like it has like all these interesting textures in the background, like stuff is bouncing around from side to side, and this sound definitely like cut through like the mix and the area that I put it in the instrumental. And so I really was digging this. I liked all the effects that it had going on. So we had a little distortion, we had some lo-fi, and then a little phaser. And the phaser is definitely what's creating that background movement. So, without that, you just got a little delay. But then you turn that phaser on, bada bing, bada boom. You got a lot of nice little interesting textures. And that's again like the benefit of like these presets is like you'll stumble across something that really fits. Or like I say, there's enough there that you should be able to find something. So let's get into the next sound. Show you some interesting things I was able to do as far as like sound design. Okay. So the next sound I want to get into is this pad that I found called the 80s Sunrise. And this one was pretty cool. I liked the way that it felt when I was just playing around. But again, I was hearing like some type of sweeping motion. Again, like the idea is kind of spaced out. Maybe you have like a pilot, a spaceship pilot or alien traveling through space and, doing what he does. Maybe he's fighting aliens, or maybe the aliens are fighting the other aliens or something like that. And we dodging asteroids, or maybe we just cruising and relaxing. I don't know, but this definitely kind of created a nice little bed of sound underneath that pluck, that strong chord drive that I had, and I definitely felt like it was pretty cool. And so one of the nice things I was able to do was I saw this filter resonance, and so I was like, oh man, it'd be so dope if I could just sweep this. And so of course all I did was I linked it to a controller, and it's automatically sweeping. And I also played around with the XY parameter just to get like that kind of airy feel, add a little top end to the sound. So I'll show you kind of what that's like. So you kind of hear that change a little bit, just like that. And so, that definitely kind of brought a different character than the stock preset. And that's one of the things I do like, because you always want to put your stamp on it, even if it is a preset. And one thing I will say, I know I showed it in the other menu, but what's really cool is that they'll show you and talk to you and basically let you know like what you get out of what you're getting. So it tells you SnythMaster Player is a simplified version of SnythMaster with limited editing capabilities. It is targeted towards users who prefer to use presets. And then it goes on. It doesn't scroll. Now there is a couple caveats that I want to talk about, but we'll talk about that in the wrap up. So let's get into it. Alright, so this has been No One Really, and giving you a look at SnythMaster Player from KV331 Audio. This was a fun one. I'm definitely going to be using this a lot. I love the leads. I love the inspiration that a lot of the sounds have. Even though it has some limitations, I'm still able to add some character through automation and things like that. And of course, like if you have any external like plugins like phases of your own, you can just shut off all the internal plugins and throw your own, and then tweak the sounds like that as well. So, that is that. There are a couple of little caveats I will say that I would like KV331 Audio to take a look at SnythMaster Player and maybe even some of their other instruments, because when I got ready to render this out, I actually experienced a problem where it was crackling and popping and stuff like that. I didn't experience it in like playing and when I was making the instrument or making the track, but I did when I rendered it out, and I had to go on the forums and discover exactly how to do that. And just a quick look at that. Essentially, all you have to do is come over to your settings, go to processing, and click use fixed size buffer. So if you're experiencing that, I encourage you to do that, and then that should take care of the problem. But KV331, if you ever check this out, that's a little error, and it's been going on since 2015. I found that out on the Image Line forums, so shout out to Image Line forums for that. And hope you guys enjoyed the look. I hope you enjoyed the track. If you want to check it out, check out my other channel, No One Really Hits, and just check out some of the stuff I've been doing. Basically, I publish all the tracks that I make with these, because I make every track specifically for the channel. So, and it gives you a good look at and listen at, how some of the sounds can fit into an actual production. So, with that, I'm signing out, and always remember, do something great every day, and let's craft greatness. I'm out.